Let's begin with a question. One that doesn't need an immediate answer. Just your presence. Have you ever found yourself in a room with someone, a loved one, a friend, maybe even a stranger, and not a single word was spoken? Yet everything was said? The air between you thickened, not with noise, but with something deeper, an emotion, an energy, a recognition. You didn't hear their voice. They didn't explain themselves. There were no apologies, no justifications, no tearful monologues, no grand declarations. And yet, something shifted inside you. You felt it, in your chest, in your stomach, in the ache behind your eyes, in the place where language falls short, but truth still lives. The weight of everything unspoken but deeply understood. The presence of someone truly being there, fully, silently, honestly. The quiet understanding, where there's no need to explain pain or joy because it's felt mutually. The unspoken ache, a shared sorrow or regret that doesn't need to be named to be real. The invisible thread that binds souls in a moment of vulnerability without the armor of words to protect them. This is not just silence. This is presence. This is resonance. This is energy that moves between us when language falls away. Sometimes, the most powerful moments in our lives are the ones that carry no sound, only meaning, only truth, only soul. And this moment, it was louder than any sentence could ever be. Let's pause here. Let that truth sink into your bones. Let it rise through the quiet corners of your memory. Maybe you've had a moment like that recently. Or maybe you're craving one. The world is noisy, relentlessly loud. It fills us with distractions, demands, expectations. But you are being called back to something softer, something simpler, something truer. So today's affirmation is this: I honor the power of presence. I trust what cannot be spoken, but is deeply felt. You don't need to perform. You don't need to explain. You don't need to have the perfect words. You just need to be. Be in the room. Be with the person. Be in your truth. And let that be enough. Because it is enough. Now tell me, what part of this message stirred something in you? Where did you feel it? What memory surfaced? What pain cracked open a little, asking for attention? What hope whispered softly, asking for space to grow? Where in your life are you ready to reset, to realign, to rise quietly, confidently, soulfully? Drop it in the comments. This is your space. Subscribe. Turn on your notifications. Let this be your daily ritual. A sacred pause, a clearing of noise, a coming home to yourself. Now take a deep breath. Hold it, and let it go. You're exactly where you're meant to be. Part 1. The illusion of language. We live in a world addicted to noise, to the constant hum of conversation, commentary, and communication. Every moment is filled with voices, opinions, updates, headlines, distractions. We are flooded with words. From the moment we begin to form thoughts, we're taught to attach them to language. Use your words, they tell us. Speak up. Say how you feel. Tell me what's wrong. And yes, words are powerful. There is no denying that. Words can shape the course of nations. They can start revolutions or bring peace. They can build bridges between enemies. They can save lives, mend wounds, soften grief. Part 3. The power of held space. To hold space, it sounds simple, but it is one of the most profound, healing gifts you can ever offer another human being. To hold space means this: I offer you my presence without judgment. I am not here to fix you. I am not here to rush your process. I'm not here to interrupt, explain, or minimize what you feel. I am simply here, fully here with you. No distraction, No performance, no ego. No need to make this moment comfortable for me. Just presence, just openness, just breath. Most people with good intentions believe that support looks like doing, offering advice, providing answers, solving problems, rushing to action because silence feels too awkward, pain feels too big, tears feel too unsettling. But true support, deep, soulful, enduring support, it often looks very different. It looks like, you're hurting, and I will not talk over your pain. You're unraveling, and I will not try to tidy your grief. You are in the depths, and I will not throw empty words to try to pull you out too soon. Instead, I will stay. I will sit in the discomfort with you. I will hold the silence without rushing to fill it. I will listen without needing to reply. I will be still so that you can move through what needs to move. And that is not passivity. That is not indifference. That is not weakness. That is sacred witnessing. That is soul-to-soul support. That is love in its most unselfish, unspoken form. You said nothing, but they felt everything. Why? Because in your silence they felt safe. They didn't feel observed. They felt held. They didn't feel judged. They felt accepted. They didn't feel pushed. They felt invited to just be, exactly as they are, in their pain, in their rage, in their fear, in their tenderness. And that kind of space, that kind of presence, that kind of listening, it's rare, it's holy, it's medicine in a world that's overdosing on noise. In your stillness, they felt seen. In your presence, they felt validated. In your quiet, they experienced something that words often fail to give. Understanding. Not the kind of understanding that comes from data or logic or opinion, but the kind that comes from connection. The kind that comes from compassion. The kind that says, I may not have the answers, but I'm not leaving. I'm not fixing. I'm not rushing. I'm simply staying with you, right here. So ask yourself gently, where in your life can you practice this kind of presence? Who in your world needs less of your solutions and more of your stillness? Where are you being called to hold space, to witness without rescuing, to love without conditions, to support without needing to be the hero? And just as important, where do you need to be held like this, without being asked to perform, without being rushed through your healing, without having to explain or defend your pain? We all need sacred space. We all deserve to be witnessed. We all long for someone who can say, even in silence, you don't have to go through this alone. Part 4. When words get in the way. Sometimes words fail us. They complicate what is simple. They build walls where there should be bridges. Ever tried to explain a heartbreak to someone, only to feel more misunderstood after speaking? Sometimes, when we're truly in pain, we don't want solutions. We want someone to sit in the dark with us and say nothing. Because silence, when done right, is not absence. It's presence amplified. You said nothing, but they felt everything. Because in your silence, you gave them room to break, to breathe, to be. Part 5. Silence as a form of love. Let's take a moment to talk about love. Not the kind you see in movies. Not the whirlwind romance that sweeps you off your feet, only to set you down confused and dizzy. Not the declarations shouted in the rain, or the dramatic goodbyes at airport gates, or the fireworks that light up the sky in a burst, only to disappear just as quickly. No. Let's talk about a different kind of love. The quiet kind. The steady kind. The love that doesn't announce itself. That doesn't demand a spotlight or an audience. The love that moves through the world softly, almost invisibly. but with a force so powerful, you feel it even in its stillness. It's the love that wakes up early just to boil the kettle and pour your tea the way you like it. Without sugar, just a splash of milk, exactly how you take it. It's the love that leaves the light on when you come home late, not because it was asked, but because someone remembered that you don't like coming back to darkness. It's the kind of love that sits with you in silence on your hardest days. That doesn't ask questions, doesn't try to fix things with words, but simply exists with you in your pain, saying, you don't have to go through this alone. Not through language, but through presence, through breath, through patience. This love doesn't need constant validation, doesn't ask for praise. It's the hand that reaches for yours without a word when the world becomes too loud. It's the eyes that meet yours across a crowded room, and in that one glance say, I see you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes the loudest form of love is the one that never speaks. Sometimes love whispers through gestures too small to name. It's in the familiar way someone folds your laundry, in the quiet nod as they pass you your favorite mug, in the way they remember the songs you hum under your breath, in how they know the difference between your I'm fine and your I'm pretending to be fine. It's not always poetry or passion. Sometimes it's patience, it's consistency, it's endurance, it's choosing to show up, not just when it's convenient or exciting, but even in the still, gray hours when everything feels heavy and dull. Real love doesn't always speak, it doesn't always shout or even whisper. Sometimes it just stays. It stays when everything else feels like it's falling apart. It stays when you're silent, when you've run out of words, when all you can do is sit in your own quiet. This is the kind of love that breathes next to you in the dark, not needing to solve anything, not needing to understand everything, only needing to be close. Because love, in its truest form, isn't always about saying the right thing. Sometimes it's about being the right presence. It's not in the loud promises or the perfect phrases. It's in the stillness, the quiet understanding, the comfort of simply knowing someone is near, without condition, without pressure, without expectation. You said nothing, but they felt everything. Because that's the kind of love that endures. Not the love that shouts, but the love that stays. Not the love that needs to be seen, but the love that sees you. The kind of love that chooses silence not out of neglect, but out of reverence. The kind that knows some feelings are too sacred for words. The kind that understands that sometimes just being is enough. Part 6. Practicing silent presence. So, how do we embody this? How do we become the kind of people whose silence is not sharp or neglectful, but soft, steady, and healing? How do we hold space without always trying to fill it? How do we sit beside others, not with answers, but with presence? How do we learn to speak through stillness? Because there is an art to silent presence, a quiet power, a kind of wordless wisdom that doesn't just happen by accident. It takes practice, it takes attention, it takes a different kind of listening. Let's explore this together. 1. Practice listening with your whole self. Listening is more than just hearing words. It's the stilling of your inner noise so someone else's voice can rise. It's the softening of your judgments, the gentle release of the need to prepare your reply while they're still speaking. It's learning to listen with your eyes, noticing the way their gaze drops when they speak of something painful. Listening with your posture, leaning in, staying open, grounded. Listening with your breath, calm, unhurried, making room for theirs. Listening with your energy, offering safety without even saying a word. People know when they are truly being heard, not just through what you say in return, but through the way you are with them as they speak. 2. Don't rush to fill space. Silence makes many of us uncomfortable. We scramble to fix it, patch it, paint over it with words. But silence is not something broken. It's not an absence, it's a container. And often, it's where the truth finally feels safe enough to emerge.